More and more shows on television are embracing disability, and the number of shows that are prominently featuring characters with special needs is increasing. Meanwhile, there's also a lot of trash on TV. Joining me now to offer insight about the TV industry is Neil Zorin of Delaware County Times and neilspaper.com. It's great to have you, Neil.
Great being here.
Well, you've been making me laugh all along today and this evening, so it's really great.
Well, there you go. I hope I'm not dull during the show.
No, not at all. You couldn't possibly be dull. And some of your writing about people and about television and what's going on in television is just absolutely fascinating.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I love doing it. And the people are why I like doing it. Because my attraction has always been to the actor and the person behind the scene, more than actually the program itself. I love the program to be polished. I don't like to see process when I'm watching a program, but I love talking to the people who do it because you meet the most fascinating people in the arts and in show business and in the business side of television. It's a great industry. And
you get some information that you don't usually see, right?
Yes, so, okay. A lot of information. You get learn a lot of things.
So let's shift a little bit to disability because that is up and coming, and I'm glad to see that because I'm, for one, a very strong proponent of that. Why is that shift happening?
Well, I think for better or worse, television always been the chronicle of the time. And then, but also being an entertainment industry, you have to have what the time will accept. So if you look back in the history of television, you'll see that it was the soap opera and the cartoon that introduced people who, with disability in an empathetic way, not in a comic way, which is one of the dangers of it. So you find that in soap operas they would introduce a character who had a disease or a character who had an addiction, and that's where the first places are. And series television is sort of just catching up with that. You've had some of it. Marlee Matlin was on a series very early, and of course she is deaf, as we know, and is an Oscar winner. But now you have characters who either play people who with disabilities, like Kevin McHale, who's in Glee, who is not. Right. You know, as you see in the movie, he gets up and dances, so you know he's not there, and people like Blake Underwood on Ironside, and Raymond Burr did that before, the blind. But you also have things like switching, the ABC switched at birth, where you have 4 deaf people.
But more and more, that what's happening with television is they're trying, I think, to have people with disabilities actually be in the roles themselves rather than having just actors doing that.
And part of that is because people are militating to that.
Well, good.
Somebody like Marlee Matlin will say, why are you hiring somebody to play somebody deaf?
When I could do that,
right. I won an Oscar too. Jane Wyman won an Oscar playing somebody deaf. Patty Duke won an Oscar playing somebody deaf, but I really am deaf, and maybe I should be able to want to do it. So there are more people of that. And I think that started back with Life Goes On, when they had the child with Down syndrome. Right. And of course now you have Michael J. Fox, who is really important because he ended his career and ended a television series because of Parkinson's disease. Right. And now he's playing a character with Parkinson's disease because it is a part of life. I worked with disabilities for a long time, worked with a multiple sclerosis organization. I used to tell people that whatever happened to the economy and whatever happened with anything else, it didn't cure multiple sclerosis. It goes on. Right. And the way to build awareness of that, the best way to build awareness of that is in characters on television. If people can see what happens in a disability, they'll understand the disability and maybe even learn to be more tolerant about disabilities.
And that's why I think it's so important. You mentioned something earlier, and that is that we weren't originally doing humor with people with disabilities. And sometimes when comedians are making fun of themselves, of who they are, some of their quirks, whatever, it lends more in terms of acceptance of those people. So that's shifting too, isn't it?
Well, there's room for both. There's tasteful and not tasteful.
Right.
Or there is funny, and you just have to live with the funny and realize that sometimes something about you might be the victim of that humor. But that's what humor is. And humor is a healer.
I think so.
Humor it's an odd word to use these days because it has so many connotations. But humor is a conservative thing. Humor is a thing that shows that normality, the humor comes from the absence of normality. The reason somebody laughs when somebody slips on a banana peel and doesn't worry about whether they're hurt is because it's so out of kilter for somebody to be walking in and fall.
I have a question. Lo- Reality TV is so strong. People love it. I'm
Right.
still trying to figure out a lot about it, and yet I know I have friends and so many people that are watching certain shows religiously. Give me a little bit to understand what's so special about reality
People are
TV.
voyeurs. People are voyeurs.
Okay.
They like to see other people's lives, and they love to feel superior. I mean, go to Walmart it's to feel superior. Or watching Jeopardy makes you feel a little sometimes a little inadequate. But watching Wheel of Fortune, when you say, "Why are you buying a vowel? It's obviously this,"
Right.
makes you feel good, and that's what I think reality programs do. From a television point of view, they're on because they're cheaper. You don't have to pay talent. You may have to pay a Joan Rivers some money, but most people are doing it.
Okay.
They're getting their name, and people like laughing at people. People watch Jerry Springer shows or Honey Boo Boo to laugh at them. People watch the Kardashians because they're jealous of the grand lifestyle.
Right,
Exactly,
right,
and that's glamour to them. Same thing with things like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I mean, they're produced by Disney, and they're Disney sets. That's not real glamour. That's not real elegance, but that's what passes for it.
So, what's the trash? Are we allowed to even say that? Or, I mean, maybe it's not fair to say that, and we only have a little bit of time to do that.
Most of television is trash.
I didn't hear that.
Yes, you did. Most of television, I said it, I'll say it again. Most of television is trash. And the reason it's trash is because you have so many outlets for television now. When you had 3 networks and maybe a couple of independent stations, you had to have a certain amount of quality. Even then, you didn't always have it. Now, programmers have to fill hours and hours and hours and hours. Some of it's going to be the same thing with the same jingly jangly music. The good news is that when you produce hundreds of thousands of programs a year, as happens on television, you get some gems. And when the Emmy nominations come out every year, you see how valuable the television is in spite of the trash.
You know, I love that, and I love the gems because I think that's so important.
It is, and there's a lot there, and there's a lot
You've been so
happening.
wonderful. Thank you so much, and have a great
welcome.
evening. Don't go anywhere. Power Your Life will be right back. On next week's Power Your Life, I'll talk to a scentologist, not a Scientologist, to find out why certain smells evoke your memories. Plus, learn how to make gluten, dairy, and soy-free sweets and thrive financially in the new year. Some practical advice for all of us. I hope you'll join me. Remember that you have the power to power your life.